Nothing says love like a woman keeping her ex's name for the status points. I should have proposed with a LinkedIn request instead of a diamond ring. Ethan, I've been thinking, Vanessa announced over her organic quinoa bowl, not bothering to look up from her phone. The morning light streaming through our kitchen window caught the engagement ring I'd spent 3 months' salary on. I want to hyphenate my name after the wedding. I paused mid-sip of my coffee, already sensing the incoming disaster. Heartblake sounds nice. She finally looked up, her perfectly manicured eyebrows raised in that condescending way that made my jaw clench. Actually, I meant Heart West. Logan's name carries more weight in social circles. The coffee mug stopped halfway to my lips. Logan West. Her ex-boyfriend. The social media entrepreneur who drove a Tesla and posted inspirational quotes about disrupting the status quo while living off his trust fund. You want to take your ex-boyfriend's name at our wedding? I set the mug down carefully, my architect's hands steady despite the rage building in my chest. It's not about him, it's about networking. The West name opens doors. She waved her hand dismissively, already back to scrolling through Instagram. You understand business, right? I understood plenty. I understood that Vanessa Hart, public relations executive extraordinaire, cared more about her image than our relationship. I understood that she saw our upcoming wedding as a branding opportunity. And I was starting to understand that I'd been played. If you say so, I replied, keeping my voice level. Years of dealing with demanding clients had taught me to hide my emotions behind professional calm. She smiled, that practiced PR smile. I knew you'd get it. That's why I love you, Ethan. You're so practical. Practical. Like a Honda Civic or a good insurance policy. After she left for her downtown office in her white BMW, I sat alone in our kitchen, staring at the wedding invitations stacked on the counter. 200 elegant cards announcing the union of Vanessa Hart and Ethan Blake. 3 weeks until the big day. I picked up my phone and called Sam Rodriguez, my junior architect and the closest thing our firm had to a tech genius. Sam, I need a favor. Can you swing by the house? I have a project that requires your creative skills. An hour later, Sam arrived with his laptop bag and a questioning look. At 26, he was eager, loyal, and blessed with the kind of digital expertise that made him invaluable. What's the emergency, boss? I showed him the invitations. I need these reprinted. Small change to the wording. Sam read the original text, then looked at my handwritten revision. His eyes widened. Are you sure about this? Absolutely certain. By noon, we had 200 new invitations. The elegant script now read, Vanessa Hart and Ethan Blake request your presence at their wedding ceremony. Groom still considering alternatives. I hand-delivered them to the post office myself. My phone started buzzing around 3 p.m. First Chloe, Vanessa's maid of honor and professional drama queen. Ethan, what the hell is wrong with you? Then came the avalanche. Text after text from bridesmaids, groomsmen, and family members. My personal favorite came from Vanessa's mother, Margaret Hart, old money personified, and my biggest critic, this is exactly the kind of common behavior I expected from someone of your background. I was reviewing blueprints when Riley Thompson walked into my office. My best friend since college, ex-military, and the kind of guy who could find humor in a funeral. Heard you started World War III, he said, dropping into the chair across from my desk. Chloe called me crying. Something about you humiliating the bride? I simply updated the RSVP information to reflect current circumstances. Riley grinned. You magnificent bastard. What brought this on? I told him about the name situation. His expression shifted from amusement to disgust. She wants to take her ex's name? At your wedding? He leaned back in his chair. Brother, that's not just disrespectful. That's psychological warfare. It gets better. She claims it's for networking. Right, and I joined the Marines for the fashion. Riley studied my face. So what's the real plan here? Because I know you and subtle invitation edits aren't your endgame. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. We need to talk, now. She stormed into the house at 6 p.m., her heels clicking against the hardwood like gunshots. I was waiting in the living room, a glass of whiskey in hand and a calm expression on my face. Have you lost your mind? She demanded, waving her phone. My mother is having chest pains. Chloe is threatening to quit as maid of honor. The whole wedding party thinks you've had a nervous breakdown. I'm perfectly sane, just reconsidering my options, like the invitation says. Her face flushed red. This is about the name thing, isn't it? God, Ethan, I thought you were mature enough to understand. I understand perfectly. I stood up, setting my glass on the coffee table. You want to marry me, but keep your ex-boyfriend's name for the social benefits. Very clear. It's not about Logan, isn't it? I pulled out my phone and opened her text messages. Funny thing about iCloud syncing. When you share an account, sometimes messages end up in interesting places. The color drained from her face. I read aloud. Logan, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place? Vanessa. Yes, but we have to be careful. 3 weeks until the wedding. Ethan, I can explain. I'm sure you can. You're excellent at PR spin. I pocketed the phone. But I'm more interested in actions than explanations. She tried to grab my phone, but I stepped back. Those messages are taken out of context. Logan and I are just friends. We're planning a surprise for you. A surprise? How thoughtful. I walked toward the front door. I should probably RSVP to that as well. Where are you going? I grabbed my keys from the hall table. To get some fresh air. And maybe to reconsider some alternatives. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click, leaving Vanessa alone with her explanations. The Meridian Bar occupied the top floor of downtown's newest high-rise, all glass walls and pretentious cocktail names. Exactly the kind of place Vanessa would choose for a business meeting with her ex. I'd been sitting in my truck across the street for 20 minutes when she arrived. The white BMW pulled into the valet circle at 8:30 sharp. She emerged wearing the black dress I'd bought her for our anniversary, the one she claimed made her feel confident. Apparently, it made her feel confident enough to cheat. Logan's Tesla was already there, because of course it was. The vanity plate read, Disrupt, because subtlety was never his strong suit. I waited 5 minutes, then walked into the building like I belonged there. The elevator ride to the 23rd floor gave me time to plan my approach. Confrontation wasn't the goal yet. Information was. The hostess, a blonde 20-something with practiced smile, greeted me at the entrance. Good evening. Do you have a reservation? Actually, I'm meeting some friends. Vanessa Hart's party? She checked her tablet. Oh yes, they're in our private lounge, right this way. The private lounge? Of course they were. I followed her through the main dining area, past tables of couples and business dinners, toward a secluded section separated by frosted glass panels. Through the translucent barrier, I could make out 2 figures sitting close together. Actually, I need to make a quick call first, I told the hostess. Could you point me toward the restroom? Of course, sir, just around the corner. Instead of heading to the bathroom, I circled back through the bar area until I found a position with a clear view into the private lounge. What I saw confirmed every suspicion. Vanessa and Logan sat on the same side of a curved booth, her hand resting on his thigh while he whispered something in her ear. She laughed, tilting her head back, and that way she used to laugh at my jokes, before everything became about networking and social climbing. Logan looked exactly the same as he had 2 years ago, when Vanessa broke up with him. Perfectly styled hair, expensive watch, the kind of confident smile that came from never facing real consequences. He was talking animatedly, gesturing with his hands, while Vanessa hung on every word. Then, she leaned in and kissed him. Not a friendly peck on the cheek. A real kiss. The kind that lasted long enough to make nearby diners uncomfortable. The kind that made my hands clench into fists. I pulled out my phone and took 3 photos before they separated. Insurance. Excuse me, sir. The bartender was looking at me with concern. Are you all right? I realized I'd been gripping the edge of the bar hard enough to turn my knuckles white. Fine, just fine. Could I get a whiskey? Make it a double. The alcohol burned, but not as much as watching my fiancé with another man. I finished the drink in 2 swallows and headed for the private lounge. Time for introductions. The hostess tried to intercept me, but I walked past with the confidence of someone who belonged. Vanessa and Logan were so absorbed in their conversation that they didn't notice me until I was standing directly beside their table. Well, this is cozy. Vanessa jumped like she'd been electrocuted. Logan looked up with mild annoyance, as if I were a waiter interrupting an important business meeting. Ethan! Vanessa's voice pitched higher than usual. What are you doing here? Funny story. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd grab a drink. Imagine my surprise finding my fiancé here. I turned to Logan. And you must be the famous Logan West. I've heard so much about you. Logan extended his hand with that practiced smile. Ethan, right? Vanessa's told me wonderful things. Congratulations on the engagement. I stared at his outstretched hand but didn't take it. Thanks. Though, based on what I just witnessed, congratulations might be premature. The smile faltered slightly. I'm sorry. The kiss. About 30 seconds ago. Very passionate for a business meeting. Vanessa's face went through several color changes. Ethan, you're misunderstanding what you saw. Logan and I were just planning my surprise party? I slid into the booth across from them. That's what you told me earlier. So what's the surprise? Matching tattoos, a romantic getaway? Or maybe you're planning to surprise me by not showing up to our wedding? Logan leaned back, his composure returning. Look, man, I think you're overreacting. Vanessa and I are old friends. We were just catching up. Old friends, I signaled the waitress. I'll have another whiskey, double, and maybe some clarity on what catching up means these days. The waitress, sensing tension, quickly brought my drink and retreated. I took a sip and studied Logan over the rim of my glass. Up close, he was smaller than I'd expected. Soft hands, expensive clothes, the kind of man who'd never thrown a real punch in his life. So, Logan, tell me about your business. Vanessa says you're an entrepreneur. I run a social media consulting firm. We help brands optimize their digital presence. Fascinating. And how's that working out financially? His jaw tightened. We're doing very well. Really? Because I did some research after hearing your name so much. Seems like your last 3 ventures went under. Something about mismanaged funds and unhappy investors. Vanessa kicked me under the table. Ethan, stop it. Stop what? I'm just getting to know the man whose name my fiancé wants to take. Seems reasonable. Logan's composure cracked. What's that supposed to mean? Vanessa didn't tell you? She wants to hyphenate. Hart West. Says your name carries more weight than mine. I raised my glass in a mock toast. To the West family legacy. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Logan looked at Vanessa, who was staring at her hands. Other diners were starting to notice the tension. I think maybe we should call it a night, Logan said finally. Great idea. I stood up and pulled out my wallet. Dinner's on me. Consider it a wedding gift. I dropped a $100 bill on the table, then leaned down close to Logan's ear. One piece of advice, friend to friend. Stay away from my fiancé. The wedding's in 3 weeks, and I'd hate for anything to complicate those plans. Logan tried to look defiant, but I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. Are you threatening me? Just sharing information, like how I know where you live, where you work, and exactly how much debt you're carrying. Amazing what public records can tell you about a person. I straightened up and smiled at Vanessa. See you at home, sweetheart. We have so much to discuss. Walking away felt like victory, but I knew the real battle was just beginning. In the elevator down, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Riley and a text. Whatever you're doing, I hope you have a plan. I typed back, working on it. The truth was, I didn't have a complete plan yet. But I had something better. Motivation. And after tonight, I had confirmation that everything I suspected was true. Vanessa Hart wanted to have her cake and eat it too. She wanted the stability and respectability I provided, plus the excitement and status that Logan represented. What she was about to discover was that I wasn't the practical, accommodating man she thought she'd trapped. I was an architect. I built things from the ground up, and I was very, very good at planning. Time to draft some blueprints for revenge. I was waiting in the living room when Vanessa came home 2 hours later. She tried to slip in quietly, but the front door's hinges needed oil, and the sound echoed through our house like a confession. We need to talk, I said from the couch. She jumped, dropping her purse. Jesus, Ethan, you scared me. Guilty conscience will do that. She turned on the lights and faced me, her PR mask firmly in place. Look, I know tonight looked bad, but I can explain everything. I'm listening. She perched on the edge of the armchair, maintaining distance. Logan reached out last week. He's going through a rough patch financially, and he needed advice about rebranding his company. As a friend, I agreed to help. Uh-huh. And the kissing was part of the consultation? He got emotional talking about his problems. It was just a comfort thing, completely innocent. Her voice had that practiced sincerity she used with difficult clients. You know I would never cheat on you. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos I'd taken. These don't look innocent. Her composure cracked slightly. You were spying on me? I was protecting my interests. Good thing, too. I swiped to the next photo. This one's particularly interesting. Your hand placement suggests a level of familiarity that goes beyond professional consulting. Ethan, please. You're twisting this into something it's not. Am I? I stood up and walked to our home office, returning with a manila folder. Remember how we share that cloud storage account? Amazing what syncs automatically these days. I opened the folder and pulled out printed copies of text messages, emails, and call logs. 3 weeks of communication between Vanessa and Logan, all time-stamped and documented. Her face went pale. You went through my private messages? Our shared account, technically. But let's not get bogged down in details. I selected a particularly damning exchange. This one's from last Tuesday. Logan says, I miss what we had. You reply, me too, but the timing has to be perfect. After the wedding, things will be different. That's not what it sounds like. Or this gem from Thursday. Ethan suspects nothing. He's so focused on work, he barely pays attention to what I'm doing. I looked up from the paper. Ouch. That one actually hurt. Vanessa stood up abruptly. Okay, fine. Logan and I have been talking. We have history, and yes, there are still feelings there. But I chose you, Ethan. I'm marrying you. For now. What's that supposed to mean? I pulled out another document. This email from Logan, dated yesterday. Once you get the house and the divorce, we can start fresh. My lawyer says California's community property laws will work in your favor. The silence that followed was deafening. Vanessa sank back into the chair, her carefully constructed explanation crumbling. You want to know what I think happened? I continued. I think you and Logan never really broke up. You just put your relationship on pause while you found someone stable to marry. Someone with a steady income, a house, and enough assets to make a divorce worthwhile. That's not someone practical. I emphasized the word she'd used that morning. Like a good insurance policy. Tears started forming in her eyes, but I wasn't buying the performance anymore. The plan was simple. Marry me, wait a respectable amount of time, then file for divorce, and claim half of everything I've worked for. Meanwhile, you'd keep seeing Logan on the side. You're wrong. Am I? Because this text thread suggests you've already picked out apartments to look at after the divorce. Expensive ones. She buried her face in her hands. It's not what you think. Then explain it to me. Help me understand how planning my financial destruction while wearing my engagement ring isn't exactly what I think. When she looked up, the tears were real, but so was the defiance in her eyes. You want the truth? Fine. Yes, Logan and I never stopped loving each other. And yes, we've been planning a future together. But it's not about your money, Ethan. It's about being with the person I actually want to be with. Just with a comfortable financial cushion from our divorce settlement, I deserve to be happy. And I deserve not to be defrauded. I gathered the documents back into the folder. But here's the thing, Vanessa. I'm not some naive mark you can con. I'm a licensed architect with a business degree and a very good understanding of contract law. What are you saying? I'm saying the game's over. You lost. She stood up, anger replacing the fake tears. You can't prove anything. Those messages could be interpreted dozens of ways. Maybe, but I don't need to prove anything in court. I just need to prove it to our friends, our families, and your professional contacts. I smiled. Amazing how quickly reputation can crumble in the social media age. You wouldn't? Try me. We stared at each other across the living room. The pretense finally dropped. This wasn't about love or marriage anymore. This was war. So, what happens now? She asked. Now? Now you have a choice. You can call off the wedding yourself, quietly, and we can part ways with minimal drama. Or you can keep playing games, and I'll make sure everyone knows exactly who Vanessa Hart really is. And if I choose option one, you move out this weekend. You keep whatever you brought into this relationship, and we split any joint purchases fairly. Clean break, no lawyers, no public humiliation. And if I don't, I picked up my phone and showed her a draft social media post. Wedding update. Discovered my fiancé has been planning our divorce since before our engagement. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. Dodged a bullet. Checked her status update. You're bluffing. Am I? I hit share and watched her face as my phone chimed with the first notification. Oops. She lunged for my phone, but I was faster. Delete that! Delete it right now! Too late. It's already been shared twice. I checked the screen. Make that 5 times. Wow, news travels fast. Ethan, please, this will ruin me. Should have thought of that before you decided to ruin me. My phone started ringing. Riley's name appeared on the screen. I should take this, I said, answering the call. Hey, Riley. Dude, what the hell is happening? Your Facebook post is blowing up. Just sharing some relationship updates with friends. Are you serious about this? Vanessa was really planning to divorce you? Dead serious. I have documentation. Vanessa was frantically typing on her own phone, probably trying to do damage control. Too little. Too late. Holy shit, Riley continued. Chloe's calling me, and your mom, and like 6 other people. This is spreading everywhere. Good. Truth should spread. What do you need me to do? I looked at Vanessa, who was now crying real tears as she watched her reputation implode in real time. Can you help me with the construction project this weekend? I need to build something. Sure, what kind of project? A better life, without the dead weight. After I hung up, Vanessa looked at me with pure hatred. I'll fight this. I'll tell everyone you're lying. With what proof? I've got 3 weeks of documentation showing your real intentions. What do you have? She had nothing, and we both knew it. Pack your things, I said. You have until Sunday to get out. This is my house, too. Check the deed. My name only. Another oversight in your planning. She stormed toward the stairs, then turned back. You'll regret this, Ethan. I'll make sure of it. I doubt that, but you're welcome to try. As she disappeared upstairs, probably to call Logan and cry about her ruined plans, I poured myself another whiskey and started making a list. Wedding vendors to cancel. Joint accounts to close. Locks to change. And one more item. A conversation with Logan West that would make our restaurant encounter look like a friendly chat. Some foundations needed to be destroyed before you could build something better. Saturday morning arrived gray and drizzly. Perfect weather for destruction. Vanessa had spent the night at Chloe's apartment, leaving me alone in our house for the first time in 2 years. The silence was liberating. Riley showed up at 8 a.m. with coffee and a pickup truck. So, what's the construction project? Removing some unwanted fixtures, I said, leading him to the garage. Starting with these, I pointed to a stack of boxes labeled Logan's stuff in Vanessa's handwriting. Apparently, she'd been storing her ex-boyfriend's belongings in our garage for months. Photo albums, books, a guitar, even some clothes. She kept her ex's stuff at your house? Riley whistled. That's cold, even for her. Gets better. Look at this. I opened one of the photo albums. Page after page of Vanessa and Logan together, dating back 3 years. Including photos from last month that I definitely hadn't taken. Damn, she really never broke up with him. Nope. Just moved his stuff to my garage and moved him to the shadows. I closed the album. Time to return his property. We loaded everything into Riley's truck, then drove across town to Logan's address. He lived in one of those trendy loft complexes downtown, all exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. The kind of place that cost twice what it was worth, but came with the right zip code. You sure about this approach? Riley asked as we parked. Absolutely. He wants his stuff back, right? Logan's loft was on the 3rd floor. We took the elevator up, each carrying boxes. I knocked on his door with my foot. Just a minute, came his voice from inside. The door opened and Logan appeared in pajama pants and a t-shirt, coffee mug in hand. His expression shifted from confusion to alarm when he saw us. Ethan, what are you doing here? Returning your property. You left some things at my house. I pushed past him into the loft. Hope you don't mind us bringing them up. Wait, you can't just... Riley followed me in, setting his boxes down in the middle of Logan's pristine living room. Nice place, very minimalist. I looked around the space. Expensive furniture, modern art, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. All of it probably financed with debt, based on my research into his failed businesses. We need to talk, I told Logan. I don't think that's a good idea. Sure it is. Just three guys having a conversation about boundaries and respect. I sat down on his white leather couch without being invited. Riley, why don't you keep an eye on the door? Make sure we're not interrupted. Logan glanced nervously between us. Look, if this is about Vanessa, it's about a lot of things. Your ongoing relationship with my fiancé, your plans for our divorce settlement, your general lack of respect for other people's relationships. I opened one of the photo albums. These are nice pictures, very intimate. When were they taken? He didn't answer. This one's interesting. I held up a photo of Logan and Vanessa at a beach resort. The timestamp says last month. I was in Seattle that week for a conference. Vanessa said she was having a girls' weekend with Chloe. Ethan, I can explain. Please do. I'm fascinated by your version of events. Logan sat down across from me, trying to project confidence but failing. Vanessa and I have history. Yes, we've stayed in touch. But we're not trying to hurt you. Really? Because these text messages suggest otherwise. I pulled out my phone and read, once Ethan's out of the picture, we can be together publicly. The divorce settlement should give us enough to start fresh. His face went pale. How did you get those? Doesn't matter. What matters is that you've been planning to destroy my life while pretending to be innocent. That bothers me. We never meant for it to go this far. But it did go this far, and now we have a problem. I stood up and walked to his windows, looking out at the city. See, Logan, I'm not the kind of man who takes betrayal lightly. And I'm definitely not the kind of man who lets other people profit from screwing me over. What do you want? I turned back to face him. I want you to disappear. Permanently. No more contact with Vanessa. No more plans for a future together. No more interference in my life. You can't make me, can't I? I pulled out a folder and dropped it on his coffee table. That's a complete financial profile. Your credit score, your outstanding debts, your failed business ventures, and the 3 lawsuits pending against your consulting firm. Logan's hands shook as he opened the folder. This is private information. Amazing what's available through public records and a little professional networking. Did you know your former business partner is willing to testify about how you embezzled client funds? I never embezzled anything. Maybe not. But the evidence is ambiguous. Could go either way in court. I sat back down. Of course, if you were to relocate to another city, start fresh somewhere else, I doubt anyone would pursue those charges. Riley spoke up from his position by the door. Boss, someone's coming up the stairs. We all froze, listening to footsteps in the hallway. They stopped at Logan's door, followed by a soft knock. Logan, it's me. Vanessa's voice. Logan looked at me with panic in his eyes. I smiled and gestured toward the door. By all means, let her in. This should be interesting. He opened the door reluctantly. Vanessa stepped inside, then stopped short when she saw Riley and me sitting in the living room, surrounded by boxes. What's going on here? Just returning Logan's belongings, I said cheerfully. Found them in our garage. Amazing what people leave behind. She noticed the open photo album on the coffee table, our previous night's confrontation clearly visible in her expression. Ethan, what are you doing? Having a conversation with your boyfriend about boundaries and future plans. Want to join us? He's not my boyfriend. Right. Just the man you've been planning to marry after our divorce. I gestured to the couch. Sit down, Vanessa. We're all adults here. She remained standing, her PR instincts kicking in. Whatever Logan told you, Logan didn't tell me anything. The evidence speaks for itself. I opened the folder. 3 weeks of text messages, emails, and documented meetings. Plus, these lovely photos from your girls' weekend last month. The fight went out of her. She sank into the chair next to Logan's, looking defeated. So, here's what's going to happen, I continued. Logan is going to relocate to another city, somewhere far away where he can start fresh without the baggage of his failed ventures here. Vanessa, You're going to move out of my house and find your own place. And both of you are going to stay out of my life permanently. And if we don't, Vanessa asked, then I release everything. The photos, the messages, the financial information, all of it. Your PR career will be over, and Logan's legal troubles will multiply exponentially. Logan found his voice. This is blackmail. This is consequences. You wanted to play games with people's lives. Now you get to face the results. I stood up and walked toward the door, Riley following. You have 1 week to make your decisions. After that, I start sharing information with very interested parties. Wait, Vanessa called out. What about the wedding? All those people, the deposits, already handled. Sent out cancellation notices yesterday. Blamed it on irreconcilable differences and mutual agreement to part ways. I paused at the door. Don't worry, I was very diplomatic. Didn't mention the cheating or the fraud planning. Ethan, please. We can work this out. We did work it out. This is the solution. I opened the door. Enjoy your boxes, Logan. Consider them a farewell gift. In the elevator, Riley shook his head. That was brutal, man. Effective, but brutal. They earned it. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So what now? Now we go home and change the locks. Then we start planning phase 2. There's a phase 2? Oh, yes. That was just the demolition. Now comes the real construction project. As we drove away from Logan's building, I felt lighter than I had in months. The foundation of lies had been exposed and demolished. Now I could build something better on the ruins. But first, I had one more conversation to have. With the friends who'd chosen sides without knowing the truth, time to set the record straight.